Recently, Hillary Clinton was speaking in India, and she made some comments that conservatives are still crying over. So I wanted to analyze it for you guys and see if it makes sense to have said these things, or are the Democrats right in backpedaling as usual? Well, we got a poll for you at the end too. Let's first find out what she said. A little bit earlier in March, she had said, if you look at the map of the United States, there's all that red in the middle where Trump won. I win the coast, I win, Illinois and Minnesota, places like that. But what the map doesn't show you is that I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward. So a couple of different ways that you could take that. One is that I won the rich areas, he won the poor areas. And that you can understand why people would be upset about that, both if you're a conservative who voted for Trump, or anyone who voted for Trump and you feel like that's deriding you as not as rich as Hillary Clinton supporters. On the other hand, you could take it as, well, look, some places are stuck in the old ways, and that's why they'd like to go back to 1955 and quote unquote make America great again. So let's see if there's more important context here. Here's a piece of the tape, the audio of Hillary Clinton speaking about this. Let's listen.
I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward, and his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You didn't like black people getting rights, you don't like women, getting jobs, you don't want to, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm gonna solve it.
So some people say, how dare you insult voters of Trump like this? And others say that kind of makes sense. That is partly what they said. So I read what I view to be a funny Washington Post article about how, you cannot say that about Republican voters, that they are looking backward and that they didn't like black people getting rights and women getting jobs. That is unfair. And she's speaking to Indians there and saying Indian Americans succeeding more than you. But first, let's break that down real quick. Steve Bannon on a radio show with Donald Trump as guest, by the way, complained about how Indian Americans were getting the CEO jobs in Silicon Valley that he thought white people should have been getting. And even Trump thought that was a bridge too far. He's like, but they're successful, so what's the problem? And he said they don't share our culture. So that's a fact, what Hillary Clinton said about what Republicans, especially the top advisor of the president, and ran his campaign, now of course no longer with the White House, but was a chief strategist at the White House for a long time. That's what Steve Bannon said, it's a quote, it's literal, okay? And then are we really splitting hairs about whether Republicans don't want blacks to have any rights, or they just would like to have them have less rights? Like, for example, less rights to vote. They're stripping away some of the extra days of voting in specifically only in Atlanta, in Georgia. Gee, I wonder why. I can go on and give you dozens, maybe hundreds of examples. It's the party that ran on the Southern strategy. The whole point was, let's go and appeal to what we perceive to be aggrieved white racists in the South and stoke those grievances. That's what the party ran on. Two different heads of the RNC have apologized for the Southern strategy. It is real, they did it. So if you're saying that Hillary Clinton is exaggerating a little bit at this point about Trump voters, I'd say only a little bit, if she is at all. Now, it's not to say that all Trump voters were that way, no. And I think the most accurate thing that Hillary Clinton has ever said is the one she's most criticized for, which is about half of Trump's voters were the deplorables who do believe in those things. They do. And the reason they like Trump rather than the 16 other Republicans in the race was because those other Republicans used dog whistles and Trump used a human whistle. He said, I don't care, I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna say the Muslims are the problem, Latinos are criminals and rapists, and black people are more prone to crime. He stoked all that rage and fear and anger. So now to pretend to be upset at Hillary Clinton for pointing out things that are actually true, at least about half his voters, and she did say half in those famous comments about the deplorables, I think is a lot of crying over nothing. So Washington Post also says she does seem to suggest that Trump subsisted on voters who were simply, less sophisticated or advanced. Now, this I have mixed feelings about. In some ways, it is, again, empirical. People with graduate degrees voted for the Democrat in the race in overwhelming percentages. People with only high school educations or less voted far more for Donald Trump. It's a fact, that's true. If you don't like that fact, I guess you go cry in a different corner, but it is a fact. Now, the part that I'm a little bothered by there is the Hillary Clinton establishment way of thinking that, well, if you were truly sophisticated, you would understand that the establishment has your best interest in mind. And I don't agree to that. And so the other half of the Trump voters who wanted to throw a brick through the establishment window, I have some degree of sympathy for. I don't think they did it in the right way. I counseled heavily against it, and especially with this monster Donald Trump. But they have legitimate grievances. Those are not just about blaming minorities or other groups of Americans. Those are about, hey, my wages have been stagnant for 40 years now. The establishment keeps telling me everything's gonna be all right. Well, maybe it's all right for them, but not for us. So it depends on which half of the Trump voters you're talking about. Okay, now, they went on to quote a poll that was done earlier, and I wanna give you guys a little bit of context into this too. So this is Aaron Blake writing in the Washington Post. The Washington Post ABC News poll, after her deplorables comment, found that more than 2/3 of Americans felt it was unfair to describe a large portion of Trump's supporters as prejudiced against women and minorities. Even 47% of Democrats said it wasn't fair. Well, I have two things to say about that. One, did they ever run a poll, a Washington Post ABC News poll, about the thousands, millions of insults that conservatives, both on air and politicians, have said about liberals? Liberals are this and liberals are that. In fact, I'm gonna give you examples in a minute, so hold for that. But did they ever run a poll on that? Is it terrible to insult liberal Americans? No, they've been doing it for decade after decade. Nobody even bothered to write and ask a poll about it because they think, well, that's normal. Conservatives get to bash liberals' heads in. And if you ever say anything about conservatives, they turn into the most special snowflakes you've ever seen. And they cry endlessly. I am offended. How can you say that about conservative voters? You guys are the pricks who ran on the Southern strategy. To this day, you want to do disenfranchisement of African Americans. You send in Ben Carson to destroy the housing and urban development, and then he has the audacity to talk about how there's something wrong with the culture of those people. Come on. And it's not just Ben Carson, it's Donald Trump, it's almost all of your candidates. To deny that is to deny reality. And the second half of what I'm upset with that poll about is, Democrats, come and pick yourself up, man. It's an uneven playing field. You tell a Republican, are you upset that somebody criticizes liberals? And they go, no way, man, hit them harder, right? You ask Democrats, hey, is it unfair to criticize Trump voters? They're like, oh, golly, man, I don't, yeah, that seems a little unfair. We shouldn't do that. Maybe we should give him a hug. Maybe, and maybe sometimes you ought to take out a whooping stick. So, I mean, they're criticizing Clinton on perhaps the only thing she's ever done right. Okay, anyway. They say Clinton also jabbed at white women voters, saying some caved on, quote, to ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever believes you should. Look, I don't want to take away agency from Republican female voters, and I understand why they would be upset at that. Is there some percentage of women who voted the way that their husbands did wanted because they are more conservative and hence believe more in authority figures and the husband should lead and the wife should obey according to biblical principles? You're telling me that phenomenon does not exist in America? That the people who are more conservative follow a tradition, and tradition is you listen to what your husband said. You're saying that that is what, more of a liberal thing? No, that's inconceivable. It's more of a conservative thing. Is it a giant factor? I don't know. But is it fair for someone who lost the election to point that out? That some people voted that way? Yes, it's fair. Is it sour grapes? Yes, it's also sour grapes. It can be both of those things at once. Okay, so what happens now, of course? Here we go. Democrats can't help themselves, so what are they gonna do? They're gonna apologize. Hillary Clinton puts out a Facebook post saying, I understand how some of what I said upset people and can be misinterpreted. I meant no disrespect to any individual or group, and I want to look to the future as much as anybody. Okay, just once, Democrats, just once, don't back down. Try it, see how it feels. So let me show you what conservatives say about liberals. So here's former baseball so-called star John Rocker. Here's the shirts he's selling. Has America demanded apologies? Has the Washington Post and ABC News run a poll about these shirts that say liberals suck and liberals are pussies? I don't see any poll about it. Do you guys see any poll? When Trump, forget Rocker, when Trump bashes liberals day in and day out, when Fox News, his buddies, Sean Hannity, et cetera, bash liberals day in and day out, are there any calls for apologies? Are there any polls done about it? No, it's assumed that that's what you do. Here's a fun thing that someone who follows me on Twitter tweeted. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but anyway, it's just some dude's truck, but it gives you a sense. I only show you this not because this truck is important. I don't know whose truck it is, and it's just one person. But have you not all seen those different signs on different cars and different websites and different memes? I mean, one after another, right? Liberalism is a mental disorder, libtards, cucks, snowflakes, safe spaces, on and on and on, right? But do the Republicans ever apologize for any of that stuff? Never, never, never. Instead, though, Dick Durbin goes on Fox News. He's the #2 Democrat in the Senate. What is Dick Durbin going to do? Look, anybody want to guess ahead of time? You all know, right? Is Dick Durbin going to roar like a lion? He never has, his entire career, never. What Dick Durbin's famous for is for crying and apologizing for other Democrats. So cue Dick Durbin on Fox News.
Senator, is that helpful to Democrats in 2018 to have Hillary Clinton dismissing the 60 million plus voters who supported and elected Donald Trump, dismissed, some could say even condemned, as racists and misogynists?
No, it's not helpful at all. And in fact, my friend Hillary Clinton is wrong. 30% of the people who voted for Donald Trump had voted for President Obama. Why? The same people who looked for change with President Obama thought there wasn't enough as far as their personal lives were concerned, and they supported Donald Trump. That is a reality that Democrats acknowledge.
So, oh no, Hillary shouldn't have done that. A Democrat fought back against Republicans. We're so sorry. More from Dick Durbin.
Heitkamp, one of your Senate Democratic colleagues who's running for re-election in the red state of North Dakota, said Hillary Clinton can't go away soon enough. Is she right? And should Hillary Clinton go away?
Well, I can tell you, Hillary Clinton, like every American, has the right to express her point of view, and she obviously gets press coverage. But we are moving on to the next chapter in American history. We have a new Democratic leadership and more people aspiring to be a candidate in 2020. It'll be a different cast of characters completely.
No, it won't. So let me explain. So there's two problems with that. Number one, I don't remember any of you guys saying Hillary Clinton should go away when we had a primary in 2015 and 2016. I remember all of you bowing in front of Hillary Clinton, going, she is the leader, she must be the leader. But the minute she loses, it's time for a new face, same ideas, same establishment talking points, but a new face. Hey, Hillary, we're done with you, you lost, we're done with you, okay? So are they gonna have actual new ideas? Hell no, it's the same old apologies, same old establishment. Heidi Heitkamp just voted to deregulate the banks. The same corporate lackeys like Heitkamp. It's all the same people. They're just gonna slap a new face on top of it. Part of the get rid of the old faces meme is not against Hillary Clinton. It's against Bernie Sanders. We can't have the old faces. I don't remember you telling us we can't have old faces when Hillary Clinton was running for the 88th time last time around. You told us to bow our heads, that she was respected and had all this experience, and experience mattered. All of a sudden, most popular politician in America is Bernie Sanders, and he has a ton of experience. Experience, we don't need that. We need new faces. New faces, same ideas though. So now, are Republicans doing likewise? Here's what we went, our crack staff here at the Young Turks, looked up Breitbart.com. They're selling this bumper sticker. Safe spaces are for snowflakes. The chief strategist for President Donald Trump ran Breitbart. Now, he's not at the White House or Breitbart anymore, but this is exactly what Breitbart has been doing all along when Steve Bannon was running it and when Donald Trump quotes it over and over again and loves it. Is there apologies coming from Bannon? Is there apologies coming from Breitbart or from Donald Trump? Of course not. Here's a recent headline that they had on Breitbart. Sorry, crazy liberals. Here's proof that surging economy is all due to POTUS Trump. Oh my God. They said crazy liberals. How could they insult the over 60 million Americans that voted for Hillary Clinton? I don't know if you know this. More Americans voted for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. She lost the election. It's not an excuse. The point is, why are you allowed to? You're not allowed to criticize the people who voted for Donald Trump, but the people who voted for Hillary Clinton, you could just go to work on them, insult them over and over and over again. Nobody's ever going to hold you accountable. Look, last thing on this is I'm going to ask you guys this poll question, but I mean it because look, once she says it, I'm defending it, and I think that it is largely correct for all the reasons that I just stated. It is a fair question whether you should go down this path, so I'm curious what you guys think. So that's why we're gonna ask you in a poll. Should we care about the feelings of Trump voters? I know that sounds like a setup, but here are the two options. A, yes, it's important to reach out to them to get them to change their vote. That's a perfectly legitimate answer. B, no, they constantly insult liberals and I couldn't care less about their feelings. So to vote, tytnetwork.com/Trump voters. So, look, I'm tending to vote, for both. Election fraud. We won't have it at the Young Turks. No, look, in the next campaign, should you reach out to those Trump voters that once voted for Obama, that are in the half of the Trump voters who are dispirited about the economic conditions in America? Yes, absolutely. Should you be reticent in criticizing the other half and just guard their snowflake feelings? No, not remotely. And I believe you can do both at the same time. If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.